On the line now to discuss competition in the telecom space is Arthur Goldstuck, Managing Director at Worldwide Works. Arthur, you're in sunny KZN. Now, it's a good place to be if you are during the winter time. But the real story we wanted to pick up with you was the investment that Cell C has announced earlier this week, $350 million US, and the impact that might have on the competitive landscape in the cell phone sector. Is it relevant enough to shake things up?
It's certainly a relevant contribution and a very relevant investment. But what we have to understand is that Cell C remains well behind the two major networks, MTN and Vodacom, and each of them are investing 7 billion rand a year in infrastructure, and that's been happening for the past 2 years. It'll happen this year, and it'll probably happen for the next couple of years. So that means that Cell C, by committing around 3.5 billion rand, and also adding to that the Nedbank loan of around 2.5 billion, means that they're able to maintain the following distance that they have with regard to other networks, but certainly not able to catch up to them or overtake them.
So would you say, Arthur, that this is absolutely necessary? They have to invest this amount of money just in order to keep up and keep the gap between themselves and the big two. And if it weren't for this investment, if it weren't for these loans, then they would actually fall way behind.
There's two levels on which they have to invest this kind of money. The one level is to improve their existing infrastructure. As they're picking up more new customers than any of the other networks, is putting greater strain on their existing infrastructure. And you're finding, anecdotally, far more complaints about the quality of the Cell C network than the others. And that's from people who have switched over because of the lower costs. But on another level, to compete effectively with the others, they have to invest on the same level as the others as well.
Arthur, we chatted with Alan Knott-Craig, the CEO of Cell C, and of course the founder of Vodacom, or founding CEO of Vodacom, on CNBC Africa yesterday. And one of the points that he's been making here and elsewhere in the media is that he's very bullish about the new communications minister, Yunus, who, by his own admission, is not much of an ICT expert. What do you think is behind Alan Knott-Craig's view there, or indeed, just to add on to that from your side, is this a minister that you'd be putting your hat into the ring with?
I think we've learned enough about having confidence in new ministers that we have to wait and see what they actually produce. My suspicion is that the reason Alan is bullish about him is very similar to the reason a lot of people were bullish about Diana Pule when she was first appointed, and that's that he's someone who gets things done. He's someone who's about action and about results. But Pule seemed to be the same kind of character when she was first appointed. And from that point of view, people were confident. Part of the problem with her was her very strong communist or socialist leanings, which meant that her view of how licenses should be issued was very much colored by that philosophy. And Carrim seems to be cast in the same mold. So I think we have to be wary, and he really has to prove himself. The problem is that he has very little time before the next elections. He has 9 months to prove himself. So I don't think we should be overconfident, but if he delivers, then obviously everyone will be delighted.
Very quick one, Arthur. New minister, we've got Cell C investing in order to keep up with the other two, which means increased efficiency potentially and also increased competition. Very good for the consumer, I would imagine.
This is very good news for the consumer. The question that is continually asked is, when will we get decent broadband? Well, if you can afford it, you do have decent broadband, but you have to pay quite heavily for it, and you can't get it everywhere. So it's also a matter of where you are. The more that's invested, the more the costs will come down, and the more pervasive decent broadband is going to be. And that in particular is going to be one of the great boons of these investments.
That was Arthur